Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Cryptid Cocktail Party, a show where we have a few drinks, share a few laughs, take a dive into the unknown. I'm your host, Dave, joined as always by my wonderful co-host, Sarge. How's it going, Sarge?
Ahoy, mateys.
And we're also joined by special guests of the show, my buddy Mike Dionne, better known as Eyenine. What's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on.
Anytime, bud. I feel like it's been a long time coming. I feel like this should have happened sooner, but it didn't,
Yeah.
so whatever. It is what it is. But how's it going, man? What's going on? What's new with you? How's life?
Good. I just was out in St. Louis, did a show, was working on a new album with Far Out, and I got another album coming out this year, so a lot of new music for 2025.
Wait, so you have a new album coming up, but then you're also recording another album, or is this part of the album in St. Louis?
Two separate albums. So I have my...
The other one was a feature. I know the lingo. I'm learning it.
Yeah. Well, it was like a collaboration. It's called Creatives. It's me, Far Out, and Van Ghost. But my solo album, Fast Radio Burst, is coming out this year, and it's produced by DC, the MIDI Alien, which is awesome. Can I just
say that Van Ghost is hands down one of the best stage names I've
name.
ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah.
That's a really good name.
It's so good. But goddamn, man, you've been busy, huh? Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're staying busy. And Sarge, how are you doing? I'm sure you got some sort of tale to tell.
I'm wonderful. My oldest child turned 16.
Wow.
That's earth-shattering.
So I got reminded once again that I'm an elderly fuck at this point. I took her to Salem, Massachusetts, one of the greatest cities in this whole goddamn state. So yeah, it was good times.
Can I just say something? I've never been to Salem, Massachusetts. Is that wild?
You are fucking missing out. There are crystals everywhere.
All right.
You need to find an amethyst. I got 19 spots.
All right. I feel because I've never been, and I feel like I lived in New England my whole life. I feel like it's someplace I should have been.
It is very
once.
cool. Like you would think that it's kind of lame and stuff. Like
it sounds touristy.
It's the worst place on earth in October because all the fucking amateurs show up and they put on eyeliner that one time a year and wander around the streets. But like in the winter time, it's actually very cool. The shops are still open. There's a lot of stuff to see, and the shops have really cool stuff in them. And then there's like all kinds of museums and haunted houses that run year round. It's very, very cool. And the restaurants are incredible.
Yeah.
The Rockefeller was really good. The tavern in the Hawthorne, I stayed in the Hawthorne Hotel and I ate in the tavern last night. It was really good. So the Ledger is another great restaurant. I friggin' love it there. And it's so much fun, especially if you like hit every bar that you walk past and have a drink while you're out and about. It just makes the experience so much fun.
Salem to me always just seemed like it was like Hot Topic Hampton Beach. Like it's just like that kind of like vibe. And I didn't know if I could. I feel like Hot Topic wants to be Salem.
Yeah, especially in October.
Fair enough.
Because like Salem is a pretty spooky place.
Yeah, you remember our buddy Ryan Connery? He used to live down there and do ghost tours and stuff.
Oh,
and I used to go down there every week and hang out with him, and it was one of my favorite places. And then during COVID, I went down and it was just all construction. Nothing was open. It was like towards the end. It wasn't like during lockdown. It was like after that when things started opening up. But like it was crazy. It was like a dead zone. Like I went down there for the Boston Hot Dog Corporation, that little hot dog shop.
Nice.
And they weren't open, and there's just like all construction everywhere. And I just ended up going to a couple bars. But my buddy Matt Hobbs lives down there, and he's gonna be starting up an open mic at one of the bars. So I'm gonna head down there and start performing.
Did you go to Salem just for the hot dogs, or was that like did you drive specifically for like, you know what, I'm craving this hot dog?
I've gone to Columbus, Ohio just for the hot dogs. But so yes. Not every time. Usually it was for something else, but I would always. I'm
going to be honest with you, Mike. I was on your side until you said you drove all the way to Columbus, Ohio for hot dogs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I also had like a show out there, but
Okay. I got nervous for a second because I've driven into Boston. There's a place near Berkeley called Junkyard Hot Dogs. Holy shit.
How did we end up here?
You know, some people like hot dogs.
Yeah, I have a hot dog tattoo, so
that's fair. All right.
Yeah.
Are you guys ready to dive into today's episode?
Yeah.
Especially if it's about hot dogs.
It's not about hot dogs. It's actually
It's not?
No,
well,
unfortunately.
I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah,
So,
right?
Fuck this place.
I got a show tonight, so
So, all right, fuck both of you. But anyways, today, gentlemen, we're going to be heading to the Soviet Union. I had that audio, so I had to use it again. But anyway, so We're going to be headed to the Soviet Union. The year is 1989. The Cold War is winding down, but, tensions are still very much high. Now, deep in the heart of the USSR, about 300 miles south of Moscow, is the city of Voronezh. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It ends with a ZH, and I don't know Russian, so I'm just going to run with it. Not, super well known for having weird shit happen there outside of, I'm assuming, just normal middle of nowhere Russia shit, like bear fighting or whatever it is they do up there.
Most people go there for the hot dogs.
Okay. But
in American blue jeans.
What it was well known for, at least to the Russians, and I assume the CIA, was its industry. Aircraft production, engineering, and military research. What that research was, I don't know, but that's what really put this place on the map, at least up until that point. That all changed when in September of that year, something happened that defied all logic, something that would not only leave its mark on Voronezh, but would ripple across the world, kind of. What happened there wasn't simply just another UFO sighting, but a full-fledged alien encounter, complete with extraterrestrials, a robotic companion, and a demonstration of power that absolutely ruined the mental health of one, if not all, of the witnesses that were there to see it. So today, we're going to be discussing the Voronezh UFO Encounter.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about Steven Seagal's first visit.
Nice.
God damn it, no.
But that would ruin my mental health.
So
just a fat guy doing karate.
Did you say robot companion? Mm-hmm. Okay, no, I've never heard of this.
Okay, so the story goes that on the evening of September 27th, 1989, a group of children were hanging out in a local park that I refuse to learn how to pronounce. And they were playing just all the best games that Soviet era Russia has to offer.
So it's a hoop and a stick. Run from beer.
No, you got the classic children's game called Children's Court, where one child is the judge, one is the accused, and the rest are the jury. And the accused has to prove they didn't steal the last of the food rations. But spoiler alert, they're always found guilty. There's also the other classic Soviet era childhood game called Reds versus Whites. It's like a classic cops and robbers style game where half the children are the Bolsheviks and the other half are purged from society. Now,
how old are these kids?
I don't know. I made both those games up. They don't exist. I think they were playing soccer.
But it sounds. The problem is Russia is such a horrible place that it sounds accurate.
Wait, you made those up for real?
Yeah, those aren't real games.
You totally sold me on the children's.
I believed it. I believed it too. I was like, wait, is this a real thing?
It seems like it could be. If Russia during the Soviet era was, I'm gonna say, nightmarish to say the least. I don't think it was great.
When you said children's court, it reminded me of that Rugrats episode when they have a courtroom, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah,
I never sympathized with the Russians more than the time I had to wait in line to buy toilet paper during COVID.
That's the closest you'll ever get.
I was like, oh, this is what Soviet Russia is like.
Yeah. Now, but either way, yes, I think they legitimately were playing soccer or something. They were kicking some sort of ball around or a can. I don't know. Either way, as they were playing, something caught their eye up in the sky. They noticed what witnesses described as a glowing pink light hovering just above them. But then it kind of shifted. The pink glow deepened into a pulsating dark red sphere about 10 feet in diameter. Now, the children, they just stood there frozen as this glowing sphere began to descend slowly down into the park. They noticed that the air changed around them. Like a pressure filled the air, like the atmosphere itself had thickened. Now, some of the kids, they clutched their arms as a sudden chill ran through them. Despite it being a relatively warm evening, they also noticed that it got eerily silent as the craft approached. Like the birds chirping, leaves rustling, distant conversations, the traffic, all of that seemed kind of just fade away. Now, a few kids, they instinctively took a step back as if their bodies were reacting before their tiny minds could even really process what they were seeing. But no one ran. They just stood rooted in place, watching as this craft slowly and deliberately descended down into the park.
Yeah, polonium poisoning has that effect on people. They also accidentally fall out of windows periodically in Russia. It's a weird phenomenon.
It happens. Now, suddenly, without a sound, the sphere that they were watching slowly descend, it just disappeared. Like it blinked out of existence. It was then that the kids were like, fuck this shit. I'm way too hungry and way too impoverished for this shit to be happening. Like I have so much stuff going on. Like I do not need this in my life.
Yeah, I got to fall out a window later.
It is time for afternoon vodka.
Yeah. Like, so they were ready to get the fuck out of there when suddenly, out of nowhere, the craft just reappeared. This time even closer to the ground, eventually landing in the park. And not just in front of the kids. Like there's a group of witnesses at this point. It's like adults, I assume not the parents of these children, but like adults nonetheless have gathered now like to see this thing descend. Now this is where it goes from, all right, that's weird, to come on, man, I got enough existential dread living in Soviet Russia. I don't need this. So as the witnesses stared at the craft, a hatch opened up. Out stepped what could only be described as a full-on nightmare. The entity was at least 9 feet tall, and it didn't look human, but weirdly enough, it didn't look entirely like extraterrestrial either. The creature was dressed in a metallic silvery suit with thick bronze-colored boots. Like,
turns out it was just the Harlem Globetrotters on a peace mission.
But it's the way they described it is like quintessential like Cold War era sci-fi. You know what I mean? Like it's like, have you ever seen like old pulp magazine covers? Like it's like that kind of alien. Like it's not like so it's kind of weird.
This is great. You know, there was like this one like 8-year-old who just pulls out a pack of weird unfiltered cigarettes with Cyrillic writing on it, and he's like packing it in his hand. He's like, I'm gonna be late to the mines today.
But that's not like the weirdest part of like the creature's true defining feature was that it had not 1, not 2, but 3 eyes. It had one normal sized eye on each side of his face, like we normally would, and then a smaller glowing red eye, like smack dab in the middle of its forehead. Now, witnesses said that this third eye, if you were unlucky enough to look into it, it would cause temporary paralysis to anyone who met its gaze, and that will come back later. Now, then to make things worse, a second third-eyed monster came out behind the first one, and as one source put it, and this was really funny to me, it said, quote, "It was clear they were working together," end quote.
That is such a KGB thing.
I mean, yeah, they came out of the same craft. Why would they not be working
together? It was clear they were working together. Moose and squirrel.
It was like it was just the funniest line to put into any of like, why would you even say it? Obviously, no shit, dude.
Unless the other one's like trying to sabotage the mission.
Yeah.
How many three-eyed people do you have in your neighborhood? How close is this place to Chernobyl? Just out of curiosity.
It's not that close.
Okay, all right.
But
just making sure.
But to add a little fun into the mix, trailing behind these massive entities was a mechanical being of sorts, much smaller and with a heavier, clunkier build.
So Ron DeSantis had also arrived.
It moved in an unnatural kind of like a wind-up robot toy, but just barely holding itself together. In my mind, the way it was described is this Claptrap from Borderlands. Like that's the only way that I could.
The movie,
or like or like what was the Gonk droids from Star Wars?
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like, it's like that vibe. Now, at first, the beings didn't even like acknowledge that there was a crowd of people just standing there and staring at them. Instead, they just started taking like a leisurely stroll around the park. They were like examining their surroundings, moving in a slow but deliberate manner. The robot followed closely behind them, stopping every once in a while as if it was like scanning the environment, just kind of trying to get a feel for where they were. But once the creatures seemed, I guess, satisfied with their findings, they decided, all right, let's ruin some lives. So the creatures, now very much aware of their audience and the growing unease in the air, they shifted their posture, their glowing eyes locked into the crowd with a terrifying and calculated intensity. Safe to say, the mood has now shifted. So,
I mean, Dave, when you think about it, this is an incredibly smart move on the aliens' part. Because no one in 1989 believed anything that came out of Soviet Russia. So they literally could have done whatever they wanted because no matter what the government said, we'd be like, nah, this is bullshit. You're full of it.
That's fair. All right. So before we find out exactly how the mood shifted, I want to get a feel of the room. Mike, how you feeling so far? You got three-eyed aliens. They are clearly working together, obviously.
Clearly, yeah.
And they got a little robot guy. How we feeling?
I'm hooked. I like how the mood shifted when they looked. It just reminds me like when I'm halfway through a show and I just like stare at one person in the crowd. I'm like, I'm gonna ruin your night.
I'm gonna make you uncomfortable for this entire song.
Exactly.
True, but it makes it more memorable for everyone else. So that's
Yeah.
Sarge, how you feeling?
I love that these clearly very advanced aliens thought it would be a super good idea to bring a politician from Florida along with them as he hobbles around in his lifts trying to look like a person.
Well,
nice.
All right. So we got your Mike's into it. Sarge, you're confused about the
I'm
DeSantis
fucking all
guy.
about this, man. I want to know more. I wish to God I could have been there to watch.
Yeah. I know. It's always in places that like we would never be where these things happen.
Yeah. Yeah. But so one of the boys, a 16-year-old named Vasaya Sarin, I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't really care.
That checks out.
Anyways, he screamed, but then was frozen in place when the head alien turned its gaze toward him, its central eye glowing intensely. That's when the paralysis set in. Then the creature pulled out a 20-inch tubular device that witnesses said resembled a gun, pointed it at another boy while staring still at this one kid. And in an instant, the kid he was pointing this thing at vanished. Fucking poof, gone. Just blinked out of existence.
Okay.
The crowd lost it. So people were screaming, some ran, others were too stunned to move, but the beings, they remained just unfazed. They just stood there simply like observing the chaos, all while that robot is just in the background, just like scanning shit, like hanging out, just chilling.
But
what
did the kid do?
I don't know.
That he was just vaporized.
Just fucking why not?
This does sound like you are describing one of my shows, which is crazy. Chaos ensues. People are screaming. I'm just staring still, just vanishing people.
Then,
staring at people, vaporizing children for no reason.
Yeah.
Fuck that kid in particular.
It's not even an all ages show. There's just a kid there and I just vanish him.
A little Russian kid with a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah, that no one would believe.
I think it was just like they just wanted like it was just like the fact that it was still staring at the one guy, the one kid who screamed while he did this is such a baller move.
It's a total power move.
Yeah, for sure. But then just as suddenly as he disappeared, the boy reappeared, like totally unharmed but visibly shaken, obviously. He just didn't exist for a moment, which is kind of fucked up. I don't know how you would feel after that. Yeah. Now, the beings hung around for a little while longer, scanning the park with their glowing eyes as if searching for something unseen. Now, the robot is still there. He's just smelling flowers and looking at trees or some shit. Then one of the humanoids tilted its head slightly as if communicating to the other that, hey, we should probably like dip before the cops come. Yeah. And with that, they turned and walked back into their craft, the hatch sealed behind them. Without making a sound, the red sphere lifted into the sky and instantly vanished. Now, before we go any further, I'm going to ask again, how are we feeling about these aliens now?
So you said they were kind of humanoid, but not really. Like, so they had like arms and legs and like a head and a torso.
Yeah. Two arms, 2 legs. So they were just 9 feet tall, had 3 eyes and like a weird.
And like a metallic suit.
Yeah. Now there was like varying reports about the size of their head. So I didn't leave that in there. Okay. One source said it had really like a big bulbous head. The other one said they had tiny heads, kind of like the Koopa Troopers from the Super Mario live action movie.
The best movie. Yep.
Yeah, but that's how they kind of described it, and I didn't know which one to go with, so I just left that out entirely.
Well, you know, a lot of men have a really difficult time describing size accurately.
That's true.
That's valid points. I like this.
Even the descriptions, it's really bulbous. It's really big. I don't know. No, it's pretty small actually.
Yeah, you said it was a warm night, not a cold night.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in the pool.
Yeah.
So, it was warm, so it appears bigger than it actually is what you're saying.
Yeah. So it's a grower, not a shower.
Exactly. Now, this entire encounter lasted less than 10 minutes. But for a lot of people, and I'm assuming the kid who didn't exist for a moment, it probably lasted a little bit longer.
I'm sorry.
For him.
You said a moment. Did the little boy who disappeared come back?
Yeah, were you not paying attention?
Well, no, there was a lot to keep track of.
Yeah. So did he reappear in the same spot that he disappeared?
Yeah. Do I need to go back?
No.
No, you don't need to go back. There was just a lot to keep track of. We've got 2 3-eyed aliens. Hey! Calm the fuck down. Take that again. We've got 2 3-eyed aliens, Ron DeSantis, a pink ship, a little boy smoking cigarettes. I don't know where I am.
You added the last 2 things in there.
You know it was there. You know he was doing it.
Yeah, no, he disappeared and then the boy reappeared. He was unharmed but visibly shaken, obviously. Because now that entire encounter lasted less than 10 minutes. Which is crazy because it sounds like they were taking a lot of time to do whatever it is they were trying to do. Now, the day following the event, the story hit the Soviet press like a fucking bombshell. The official Soviet state-run news agency, the Telegraph Agency of the Soviet Union, or TASS for short, ran an article covering the event, not debunking it, but reporting it as fact, which at the time was crazy historic. Like
Holy
that never happens. Like, now, in the article, TASS quoted Soviet scientists who admitted that there was something strange about the physical evidence left behind in the park. Dr. Genrikh Silanov, head of the Voronezh Geophysical Laboratory, stated that scientists had found, quote, a depression in the ground where the sphere had landed, and that they had recovered 2 small pieces of unidentified rock from the site. Silanov claimed that, quote, these rocks were not naturally occurring, end quote, and speculated that they could have originated from the craft. They also claimed to have found some metallic fragments at the site, but they, quote unquote, vanished before they could be analyzed properly.
Sounds like the aliens just dropped a couple of meth rocks and then took off.
Yeah, they vanished into the kids' pockets.
Yeah,
they just vanished. Now, the fact that a major Soviet news agency would even entertain the notion of a UFO landing was pretty much unheard of at this time, and it sent shockwaves through the international community. Western media, including Time Magazine and the New York Times, picked up the story, and they really emphasized like the sensational nature of the claims. And the Voronezh case became like a global debate, not just in like media, but like UFO researchers and skeptics. Like they were all arguing, like UFO researchers hailed it as, quote, the most credible extraterrestrial encounter in decades, while skeptics, by nature, obviously, like weren't convinced.
Skeptics fucking ruin everything. Like just really for a second,
wait,
enjoy it.
Why did they say it was credible?
I don't know, because this TASS said it was.
I mean, if state-run media publishes the story,
that's pretty wild.
Okay, yeah.
It's kind of surprising.
Whenever you say TASS, I just think of like speed runs in video games.
We'll get to why it kind of seems like it's a little bit more truer than it's not, kind of, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, some skeptics proposed that the whole thing was some sort of Soviet-era psychological experiment. Others, they said it was a case of mass hysteria fueled by Cold War tensions and Soviet propaganda. And then, of course, you got other people saying that the craft and the beings were part of a military experiment, possibly a classified Soviet project designed to test public reaction to UAPs. Kind of like Project Bluebeam, like they were trying to say was the drones in New Jersey was part of Project Blue,
swamp gas.
Kind of getting a general feel of how the public at large would handle like a UFO invasion. But what's wild is that even the U.S. government took notice. So, and this is true because if you Google the Voronezh UFO incident, there are links to the CIA's official .gov website with like scanned like shit like that mentioned this case. Now, the U.S. didn't like make like an official statement on the case publicly, but some intelligence analysts think the incident was either an elaborate hoax, some sort of like propaganda thing, or maybe just a misinterpretation of some sort of like experimental craft. But despite the skepticism, the Voronezh UFO incident remains one of the most well-documented and debated extraterrestrial encounters in modern history. Now, whether or not it's real, it definitely left like an undeniable impact, and not just for those who saw it, especially that one kid that just full on didn't exist for a minute. But it left like a I was gonna say a stain on the world, but it's not a stain. It left an impact on the world as a whole. But there you have it. That is the case of the Voronezh UFO encounter. And that's all I have for you today.
I want to know what happened to the kid who vanished.
Yeah, did they interview him ever?
Oh, that I don't know. I mean, if they did, it wasn't in the Russia propaganda that they put out afterwards. But where did he go?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like, clearly it was a threat. Like, if you keep fucking around, you're going to wind up here. But where could you possibly send a kid that's worse than 1989 Soviet Russia?
New Jersey.
That's fair.
Florida. The Bible Belt.
It is true. Like, that's like, I couldn't even imagine like the psychological impact that would have of you just existing and then not existing.
It just reminds me of like a blackout, though, kind of.
I guess, but you never dematerialize because there's people around you when you're blackout that can tell you the stories of things you did when you're blackout that you don't want to hear. But
they could be lying. As far as I'm concerned, Saturday night I stop existing.
That's fair.
He had to be conscious when he disappeared.
Right.
So he's like conscious in the shadow realm and then blinks back into existence. So they had to send him somewhere terrible.
We don't know that. We don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's like how it was a Nightcrawler. Like whenever he like does that fucking like teleportation thing, doesn't he like go to hell and then come back out?
Yeah, that's possible.
Something like, maybe it's kind of like, maybe he just went to fucking alien hell. I don't know. It's all a nightmare.
He could have gone on the ship.
Maybe. I have no idea. But anyway, so Mike, how you feeling? What are your thoughts, questions, concerns?
Yeah, I'm concerned with this whole story. I've never heard of this, which is crazy that it's like you said that like it left a huge impact. Because I've heard of a lot of alien encounters and never heard of this. And yeah, no, please. And secondly, I think, do you think a lot of it was because, especially our government involvement and like reporting on it? Do you think it has to do with like Sputnik and all the like the space race that we had like however many years ago before that?
I know,
but like that. It was still before the crumbling of the Soviet Union, so like they were still a rival to our space program, even though we beat them.
True, but I think like in 1989, like at that point, like I don't even think space was even our fucking. We didn't care about that.
No, right. Russia was kind of falling apart by this point.
Yeah,
it is a weird piece of. If it's propaganda from the Russians, it's a weird thing to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like in 1989, like that was like 60s shit. Like why all of a sudden? Because like Russia has a very long history of just like suppressing any sort of like extraterrestrial like encounters or anything like that. So for this to like be like in the actual state-run media is fucking crazy.
And the crazy thing is these kids. Like, I don't know, you didn't say how old they were, but if it was 89, like they're relatively our age. So these kids might still be alive.
Yeah. I want to talk to them.
Yeah.
It said they ranged from ages of 9 to 16.
Okay.
I believe I read that group of kids. So, I mean, maybe it was just maybe they hallucinated it from the industrial waste that was being pumped out into the town because they were known for that. But I have no idea.
I just want to know where in New Jersey that little boy wound up.
Some Fuddruckers. Just the lobby of a Fuddruckers, and they won't let him in because he doesn't have parents with him.
Well, the staff lazily sings "Happy Birthday" to an ungrateful child.
Yeah,
I don't know if they ever interviewed the boy. If they did, it's not in any sort of thing. But like, maybe it could be like the Philadelphia experiment. Like maybe he wasn't like disintegrated.
Became
like,
part of a battleship and then blinked back.
No. I mean, maybe because the USS Philadelphia, like that popped up in fucking another time or like another city for like a brief moment. Then came, like maybe he was just teleported somewhere and then came back. Like maybe he didn't not exist because that'd be insane.
Or he like blinked into like his worst nightmare, so he's just like standing naked in front of his classroom and then blinks back.
And the classroom's in New Jersey for some reason.
All right.
Why am I in Bayonne?
There you have it, guys. That's the story. It was fun. It was cool. I panicked for a minute trying to find an episode, and I thought this was I had never heard of this before I started researching it, so it was cool to learn.
Oh, okay. So you haven't either.
No, this is all new to me.
That's comforting. All right.
I can't honestly. I'm not that I'm like trying to make it sound like I do tons and tons of research, but I know a lot of crazy alien stories. I can't believe that I've never heard this before.
Same.
Again, yeah. I'll send you guys some links. I'll give you some sources that I used, and you guys can fucking.
No, I believe you. It's crazy.
Do you ever like post links at the bottom of the podcast thing?
No, because I'm lazy as fuck and I don't do that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys need someone to do that for you, I'm good at that. So.
Oh, awesome.
All right. With that out of the way, Mike, Eyenine, do you have anything you want to plug before we sign off? Usually I give Sarge the floor for this, but you're the guest.
So you can follow me on everything. If it's Eyenine. Just recently, I think like 2 weeks ago, I got zucked really hard. They deleted my Instagram.
Yeah, what happened with that? Like, you don't post anything offensive or anything like that? Like, I don't understand.
No, I don't. I think it might have to do with the fact that they just like transitioned everything into AI for their content moderation. Oh. And I just got a message randomly, and they're like, "Hey, you got flagged for community standards." I was like, okay. Like I literally had just posted a story and it wasn't an offensive story. And I clicked on it and they're like, we need your ID, which is weird because I didn't think I linked it to my personal account, which I didn't. And so I sent my ID and then they had me do like a face scan. So I had to like do like this 3D up and down, left and right face scan. And then they like, it was under review. And then they sent me a message. They're like, yep, you didn't pass. You were flagged for community standards. They never said what it was. And they're like, and all of your shit's deleted forever. So fuck off.
That's crazy.
They said I can't appeal it. They said I can't do anything about it. But there's a comedian, Ben Palmer, and it happened to him. Yeah. It just happened to him. And he, I guess, sued in small claims court and he got his account back. And now he has this whole thing set up for other people to do it. So I just emailed him like my information and hopefully I'm going to sue and get, I mean, I don't need the money, but like I'd
take
like
them for everything
back.
It's worth.
Yeah. Well, it can only be up to like $9,000, I think. But
you had a fairly decent following on there too.
Yeah, I had thousands of followers, 15 years of memories. I had like pictures with friends that are no longer around, and like family members and stuff. And like those were on the old phones that I would upload. I didn't think that it could ever get deleted.
That's wildly fucked
But yeah, so everyone back up your Instagram, I guess. But my new Instagram is at Eyenine Music, Eyenine Music. I'm on Spotify, iTunes. I got a new album coming out. I got a YouTube channel. If you just Google Eyenine, Eyenine, everything comes up. Oh, and I have eyeninemusic.com.
Wait, how do you spell it?
Oh, it's DETERIORATING.
All right.
Yeah.
All right,
Sarge, that's an inside joke.
Sarge, you got anything you want to plug before?
Yeah. Still, you can still buy the coloring book. Probably everyone who listens to this has already done it if they wanted to, but do it anyway.
Yeah.
SargesSupernormal.com. It's a coloring book where you can take out all of your existential dread and do some word puzzles as well. That's in there. That's $9.99. SargesSupernormal.com. It'll really just take you to the Amazon page, but it's easier to remember this. And then you can find me on the internet at Sarge the Destroyer. Just Google it. I'm pretty much the only one who comes up.
Yeah. Cool. You said it with such authority. I love it.
Yeah.
And if you want to follow us on Instagram or follow us anywhere else, it's at Cryptid Cocktail on Instagram, Cryptid Cocktail Party on TikTok. We were in the latest issue of Scars magazine.
Woo!
Yeah, pretty cool. So definitely get a copy of that. We're also going to be featured in the upcoming issue of Parahouse magazine, which is pretty cool. So definitely check them out. Drink Narragansett.
You better drink Narragansett.
I think legally we have to say that, even though we didn't sign anything saying we had to. But, you know what? It doesn't matter if it's legal or not.
Yeah, it's the principle.
Exactly.
Yeah, especially since Yingling went all Nazi on us. Narragansett, still true blue.
That's fair.
Oh, by the way, crazy that you picked something about the Soviet Union when this whole Zelensky thing just happened.
I know. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Dude,
honestly, though, at this stage, I mean, it's kind of impossible not to find something dystopian and then it have a connection to the super fat orange guy.
Yeah.
Or his eyeliner wearing lapdog.
Yeah, but also the $4,000 I got from the Soviet government to do this episode didn't hurt either. So.
Oh, nice. Well, I'll send you my PayPal.
You got 4,000.
Don't worry about it.
All I got was 2 potatoes.
So, all right.
God damn it, Putin, you fuck.
And with that out of the way, I guess Mike, would you say goodbye and I love you to the audience?
Yeah, goodbye. I love you, and see you in the next episode.
Listen to Eyenine.
Yeah, and listen to me, Eyenine. And follow my new Instagram so I can get some followers back.